This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in. And everybody on the chat, please wish today's co-host, our good friend Pierre Noujaim, a happy birthday. He celebrated his 40th birthday by making a mistake most 40-year-olds don't make. So, Pierre, I've been in the 40s for almost 4 years now, so I'm getting pretty good at it. Let me just tell you, and I'm sure the chat room can also tell you some of this as well, that your 40s are great, and it's awesome, except for all the terrible things that are about to happen to you, like, you know, nose hair all of a sudden is going to get really thick, and it doesn't, like, it just happens. It just happens.
I'm not making this up. I just trimmed my nose hairs before I came on this show today. That is absolutely true what just happened.
But like, you go through all your life, and it's not a thing you need. Like, and I think the show has heard me rant about this. Have I ranted about this before, Garrett?
About the nose hairs?
About nose hair,
about the things that happen in general.
Things that happen in general, like you don't need like your whole youth. You don't have one. Like you don't like.
Right.
You don't like that's a thing, and then like one day it happens and you have one, and then you're like, I better get rid of this thing, and then it's like, oh, the hell you will.
It's so true. And when you yank that first one out too, you just sneeze uncontrollably afterwards. This is awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I did spend a couple of seconds trimming out my nose hairs before I came on this show. That is absolutely true. That did happen.
I'm Italian, so I have to make the conscious decision about all of this all the time from the neck down of like what's getting out of control. And the nose, like I have to have two different types of it because I guess of the hooks and like nooks and crannies of my nose to where I have one that like spins and I have one that's flat to get it all. That does not seem fair. It does not seem like, you know, I don't know. It was wild, but you spent, and before we get to like, I'll just tell everybody what we're talking about the show today. We will have lots of March Madness talk because in my opinion, and I think you're the same, Pierre, we've been through this together quite a few times, as a matter of fact. March Madness in different cities. But March Madness begins in the conference tournaments because that's where the crazy stuff that can really affect the 68 teams starts to happen. And we'll also talk NFL free agency and in a little NFL draft with some of the free agency news that's happened already today. It's been nuts. And I know that you haven't. It's weird to me also that you were able to move this weekend when there's such a huge decision coming with Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, which has not been made yet, I guess. So
not from what I've seen, no.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on free agency, so we'll talk about that. Some interesting. Cowboys lost Tony Pollard. I'm not sure how I totally feel about it yet. But you got to work through things. But you moved this weekend, and you moved on your own with help from girlfriend and friends, I'm suspecting. Now, let me tell you, here's one of the rules of middle age, because you were there. Hire movers.
Yeah.
Beer and pizza doesn't get it done anymore. People have lives. People have kids. They're happy to, they're happy to say they're happy to help you, but they're really not happy to help you.
No, nobody is. Moving is a horrendous experience. Like from what I hear, what I've learned growing up, that the two most stressful things on an adult human being in life are divorce and moving. Like these
they're very much stressful. Tied together too. One happens right after the other. So the most stressful thing and the second most stressful thing happen together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, thankfully, I'm not going through the former at this time. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe that's something I can save for my 50s. But right now, I can assure you that because I'm moving in. She and I are moving in together.
Oh, look at that. There's another 40-year-old move. I did the same thing when I was 40.
Really?
Finally let one live in the house with me.
Also my first.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Pierre, I hope that you just let her throw all away this stuff she didn't like before you moved. Because if you didn't, that's coming, and it's coming soon.
I have to go back. Thank goodness you texted me this morning because I still have stuff I have to move today, and I had a one-track mind of getting that done today.
Yeah.
And when you texted me this morning, it's like, oh, that's right. I gotta be on with Paul, so I guess I'll take care of that after.
Here's
and
the deal.
that
we
includes
are your respite from the terror.
Yes, you certainly are. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about that. As I was looking around for my autographed, signed, action shot of Dan Marino that I have framed. Yeah. She, as we were packing yesterday, she said, "Goodbye, Dan Marino." I said, like you said earlier in the show, the hell you will. Absolutely.
Yeah, you just gotta. There's some stuff you're probably gonna have to get a storage unit if you don't have one already, and you gotta put stuff in for when you get a house that you'll have. Yeah. So the original place we did the show when we started in 2020 was at my house. I have an upstairs that's really cool, and but the thing is, the whole house before Amanda moved in was my domain. When Amanda moved in, that whole territory downstairs was annexed. Listen, here's the thing. I was just in San Antonio. I took her to the Alamo, and I said, listen, this is kind of what you did to me. Like, while I fought you off for a little while, when you did finally overtake Santa Ana, me, the bad guy, I guess, in this scenario, when you overtook me, you just took over everything, and then you said, you can go here. And that's where I am now, upstairs.
Looking back on, I know, we can do this, revisionist history all we want, but looking back on it, I don't know how we didn't make women in charge of the military back in the day, because their ability to seize territory just absolutely boggles the mind, like well beyond what a man could do. They could have a war done in 3 days.
Oh, I know. Look, yeah, we've erred in the way we let people run things. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like I've told Amanda, like, listen, I'm perfectly happy to let you strategize and then point me in the right direction and just give me some time for some input. I'm good to step back on all these things. I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah. We're moving into it. This is a 900-foot, one-bedroom apartment, so it's a little bit bigger of an apartment. But as we've been moving in the last 2 full days, and I mean 2 full days.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking around. It's like, how are we bringing this? How do we have this much stuff? This makes no sense. We're not moving into a 4-bedroom house.
No.
Like, how do we have all this stuff?
And I'm just telling you that when it comes down to what gets eliminated and what stays, you are going to get you're playing pressure luck. Every single thing where you're going to be like, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, stop, whammy. And this guy's going to come across the screen, with the dynamite, there goes this thing. So don't get attached or get a storage unit and just move it out, and then she won't. That's my advice to you. Also, get movers. It's way better. They know what they're doing. Always worth it.
My body aches. My body aches. I'm very tired. I will not be, like I said, I will not be making that mistake. I've probably saved anywhere in the neighborhood of $800 to $1,000 probably by not hiring movers. But the amount of time, it's like, to what end though? The amount of time and physical exertion I've had to spend over the last 2 days has just been a nightmare.
Yeah.
A nightmare.
No, you can oversee when movers come. Be like, okay, here's kitchen stuff I want here. Here's the thing, and then they come, and you're like, okay, and then you can do macro, not micro. It's way better. It's way better. Derek Smith, who you remember, and I lived together for quite a long time. We made our last move. We used some movers and split it, and that was right before he got married. And I remember thinking, why in the world would anybody do it? Other than being broke and not having a lot of stuff, which a couple times we didn't. It was all right, we've got 2 couches and a couple beds. We can do the heavy stuff in 2 trips, and then everything else can, be, because when you're in your 20s and early 30s, it's just essentially like a bigger dorm room. That's what you live in.
100%.
And then
100%.
Yeah, you've acquired more stuff, but the time you get to this stage, Pierre, it's all over. It's all over. Yeah, Alan says movers don't like people telling people where to place things. Yeah, no, they don't. But that's the other thing. It's like if you just tell them, they know kitchen, living room.
Yeah.
Like they're doing you can just be like, oh, hey guys, can you help me? Let's move this one over here. And then they'll ask you, where do you want it? And you just tell them exactly where you want it. And then they move on to the next thing. And they're trying to move to the next day. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I said, that mistake will not be made again.
Yeah.
And that's the last time I think to myself, I'm going to save some cash.
Yeah.
No, it's going to get spent.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Pierre, let's talk a little bit of March Madness right now before we get into NFL free agency. Nothing's gotten crazy on the men's side yet. Now, the SEC Women's Championship game yesterday was insane between South Carolina and LSU, where multiple players on each side were ejected. Garrett, LSU was just down to their starting five at the last few minutes of the game, right?
So they ejected both benches, and then they took the I'm forgetting Cordoza or whatever, the big girl from South Carolina, and they ejected her for essentially just blowing up Flau'jae Adams. Or Flau'jae Johnson. That was insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a wild thing that happened. And I might be the first. I don't know. I'm not going to be the first person who says this, but I will say this. Kim Mulkey and Dawn Staley do not like each other.
Nope.
Like there's a little bit of coach speak that goes back and forth between the two of them, but the bottom line is the two of them do not like each other. They're never going to like each other. It's always going to be like there's an air of chippiness when the game starts, even if it goes off without a hitch. There are, laser beams of hate going back and forth between those two coaches. They do not like each other. So when Garrett sent the text yesterday, because I wasn't watching, and said, have you guys seen this?
I was not watching either. Full disclosure. I was flipping channels.
Guys, have you seen what's going on here? When I saw that it was LSU and South Carolina, I was like, no, this is probably a little bit inevitable. Like that something between these two coaches would happen. Not because, and I'm not saying they want it to happen, but because there's such tension between the two sides that eventually that spills over because the players take on the emotions and the attitude of the coach. And if you do it again and again and again, and LSU has not beaten South Carolina yet in Kim Mulkey's 3 years. They're 0-4 against South Carolina. Have not beaten them yet. And so tension rises and wild crap happens. So I don't know if you were moving. So I haven't. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't watched a single game, both neither on the men or the women's side over the last 2 days. However, I did watch the highlights last night as I finally was able to let myself relax and go to bed. So I did see what happened. And one thing that stood out to me was the post-game commentary from Dawn Staley, who said, very apologetic, said, I don't want that in the game and all that. Kim said something similar as well. But then Kim added that the bigger player, I don't even remember what her name is. Cardosa.
She's like, I would have loved to see her try to go at Angel Reese instead of somebody half her size. I thought that was she basically called it Bush League. I said, oh, well, wouldn't that have been a spicy mix into this situation? And here's Kim just kind of stoking the fire just a little bit, as what Kim tends to do. So I thought that was interesting. But and I also saw that one guy made it onto the court from the stands.
That's
as well.
Brother. Flau'jae Johnson's brother, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I saw him get onto the court, and I was like, security did the best they could. But I was like, wait, hang on a second. You can't let people on the court like that.
Yeah. He was moving pretty good. Oh,
yeah.
And again, I get it. Also, just to give a little history here, and leading off the show with women's basketball is really not something that anybody had on their bingo card. But it would be negligent of us to talk about it. So when Brittany Griner was here, it might have been her freshman or sophomore year. I bet you remember. This might be before you.
I think I came when she was a junior, I want to say.
So her freshman or sophomore year, they were playing in Lubbock against Texas Tech, and the post player for Tech is a girl named Jordan Barncastle. And Jordan Barncastle, essentially tried to start a fight with Brittany. And then Brittany threw her like a rag doll from the center of the key outside of it. Just threw her like a rag doll. And while, again, not good on either side, Kim basically said, look, Brittany was defending herself. She went too far, which was true. But she gets fouled. And you remember this. Brittany Griner got fouled more than anybody in the country where they didn't call it because the officials didn't know how to, they're like, okay, we're either going to have 70 free throws a night or we're just going to have to figure out what's an actual, like, what are we going to call here? So by that point, and maybe that was her freshman year. I think it was her freshman year. So she had just had enough of it, and Jordan Barncastle was, I think trying to get this done. I don't think she thought it was going to end as badly for her as it did. And then Christy Curry was the head coach at Tech, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. She said, well, I'm just glad that Jordan Barncastle's okay. And be like, all right, look, if you're going to start a fight with somebody who is 8 inches taller than you, then you better be ready for what happens. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I really hope she's okay, or I'm just glad she's okay. All right, I mean, it wasn't like Brittany just all of a sudden snapped and had a disassociative moment and threw her across the floor. It was about 30 minutes of Jordan Barncastle, like, ribbing and punching and slapping and all this stuff. And then finally it was like, all right, here we go, Blondie, and tossed her. So wasn't right, but she should not have been like, but Kim coaches an intense style, and so I'm not surprised it happens once in a while.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, and funny enough too, Brittany, even though I got there, I think in her junior year, but in the 2 years that I got to spend around Brittany's at that age, anyway, she was very mild-mannered, still soft-spoken, didn't really there wasn't like this mean streak in her. So for her to get to that level, something had to have happened. I mean, for her, if you pushed the wrong button on her for that to happen, that's on you. That's a you problem from like in my experience with Brittany Griner. Yeah.
Look, you don't tug on Superman's cape. I'll just tell you right now. And that's what happened. All right, on to the rest. Nothing in the men's basketball tournaments has been like too earth-shaking yet, but we're getting into conference tournaments this week. There's some really interesting I think the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds are pretty much set for now, unless some big upsets happen in those tournaments. Which again, if everything kind of goes chalk or close enough to chalk, I don't think it's going to change because of what people's records are. But I do think that they're going to see 3 or 4 1 seeds that are maybe a little bit head and shoulders above the rest. But it's all about matchups right now. And especially if I'm a team from the Big 12 that might have faltered down the stretch a little bit, or got a little bit too much seasick of the teacup spinning that is that conference. I think, at least from the Big 12 perspective, the NCAA tournament, and I think this every year, is kind of a welcome distraction from what you've just been through, because you're in tournament mode pretty much from the first couple weeks is not really, but then after that second week, it's like, well, now we're playing, it feels like you're almost in these tournament games every night. You don't have yes, there's occasionally some blowouts, but for the most part, no matter where you are, you're seeing a good game, you're in a scrap, and it's time to go. So I think for that conference in particularly, and the SEC maybe a little bit this year has been really good. I think that one will be interesting to see how that conference tournament comes out, as Kentucky seems to be peaking at the right time now, Auburn and Tennessee. But yeah, I think this is the start of the madness now, and it's going to get really interesting this week in these conference tournaments, except for the ACC, which seems to be boring all of a sudden in basketball, and I'm so mad about that.
Are you going to Kansas City?
No, we're not. I was just there, and I remember thinking I could be back in a month. It'd be great.
Yeah.
That's a great tournament. I have the sneaking suspicion that the Big 12 tournament and the Big 12 championship for football, because it's been so big, as soon as those contracts are up, they're going to move, and Kansas City will be every third year it'll wind up back in Kansas City, that kind of a deal. But I do think these things are going to move as a place to grow the brand. And I do think one of the places it will be, Garrett, is New York City.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It's going to be for the Big 12?
Yeah. Yormark is obsessed with New York. He's a New Yorker.
Yeah. I wouldn't complain. It's the greatest city in the world. I wouldn't.
Well, it's also the best city for basketball in the world.
No doubt.
It's just so it's a great place for basketball. So, and to get over there and to get some kind of eyes, on the Big 12 in that, I would not be surprised. Big 12 tournament in the Brooklyn Nets arena, since he used to work for the Nets. I would if that's the case, I would be less than shocked. This would be my shocked face. It's probably going to happen. Yeah. But Kansas City has a couple more years on the contract. But after that thing's moving around. And I think the championship game will move around as well. I think it's going to be Dallas, Vegas, I think Houston could probably get involved in that a little bit. I think there's going to be some flow to that. Also, just because now there's playoff stuff and other things that, like, I think they're going to try to move things around a little bit more. Just given with the 12-team playoff that you're going to have, so much, fluidity in that as well. But yeah, I think that's coming. So just get ready for it.
That trip was my favorite trip every year. I loved going to Kansas City every single March when we got to go down there and check out the Big 12 tournament. That was my favorite trip every year. But even as I say that, to your point about, the way the field is stacking up right now, it seems very clear that, even though you need to have 4 1 seeds, but we really have 3 in our mind of UConn, Houston, Purdue. Those seem to be the 3 teams right now that seem to be the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing. Then you get to the 4th 1 seed. I see some people with Arizona. I personally feel like maybe Tennessee should probably be the 4th 1 seed, but that last 1 seed is still up for grabs. Me personally, though, it's funny that you mentioned the ACC tournament, because even though they had a few games there about, I'd say 6 weeks ago, where they just did not look interested, did not look like a team that was really engaged, I still feel in my heart of hearts, I'm still keeping an eye on North Carolina. I think they could arguably be the most talented team in the country from top to bottom. And I still think North Carolina's got plenty more in them. And once that tournament starts, that's a team I'm looking out for right now to maybe make a run all the way to the Final Four.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with you. By the way, Pierre, you reminded me of something since you liked Kansas City so much.
Oh, we've had great times there. We had a great 4 straight years of going to that tournament. Man, that was that was my favorite trip every year, no doubt.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm trying to find. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm not going to be that lucky. You know what I'm talking about?
I will say this. I'm not sure if you're looking for this, but I will tell the viewers a story. Paul and I were in the Power and Light District after a game, and there's a song that comes blaring on over the speakers, and I turn to him and I say, the entire bar is singing this song, the entire bar. And I turn over to Paul and I said, what is this song? I've never heard this song. And Paul nearly has a heart attack as he says to me, dude, you've never heard Country Road before? Ever? I was like, no, I've never heard this song. R.I.P. John Denver. Yeah. So sorry. But yeah, that was a true story. I'd never heard Country Road before going to Kansas City. Paul and I were at the bar.
Golly. I'm trying to find the famous photo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Lord only knows which photo you're talking about.
You and Tim.
No, that was very unfortunate. That was very, very unfortunate. A photo that will live in infamy. You're gonna have to look for the commercial break.
It's not here. It's not here.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Hold on. I do have my ways. Don't worry about that.
I figured. Yeah. Yeah. I know very well which one you're talking about now, and that one can. I wish that one would die.
It was a screen grab from TV, which is the best part of the story. But yeah, we have a photo that I will say is just 2 guys sharing a bag of popcorn. But it absolutely does not look like that.
Correct. I believe it was pretzels, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But yes.
I have a picture. Here's the thing. I got excited because I have a picture of the 2 of you, and we're at Arthur Bryant's. But that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and look, not to knock Arthur Bryant's. Big up to one of the OGs. Been far surpassed by like 15 barbecue places in KC now. Really, it's, Jack Stack's unbelievable. Yeah. My favorite's Q39.
Yep.
But we listen.
I still have yet to go to Q39. Yeah, Jack Stack for me, the best burnt ends I've ever had are at Jack Stack's.
Oh yeah, I just went to Jack Stack when we were there, and I had burnt ends at Q39 and Jack Stack, and I'll tell you right now, it is maybe just kind of your personal preference or which batch you get, because they were like if they're both 9.8 out of 10, like what, the difference is negligible. Plus, Jack Stacks now you can get a just gigantic, ridiculous beef rib that's so delicious. So delicious. And that's what I had. The 2-meat plate was that and a beef rib, and it was like, oh, there's a $25 upcharge. It's like, do I look like a guy who cares about a $25 upcharge for a beef rib? No. I'm not going to get the check and be like, no, I read the menu. I blew right past it. I'm fine with it. I made that choice.
I'm a man that knows what he wants.
I want this big beef rib.
That's right.
And then I want a nap. Those are the things I want. And
amen to that.
That's how it happened that day. When we come back, NFL free agency is underway. And Pierre, you are kind of at the epicenter of a lot of things in Minnesota.
Yeah.
They just signed Jonathan Grenard. They've re-signed a couple of their offensive linemen. They've got to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. And right now, if I had to say, it's probably not going to be Kirk Cousins. Because if it was...
I think we have breaking news as well here, Paul. So maybe we'll talk about that.
All right, let's do some breaking news. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. Pierre Noujaim alongside, as he is. He won't be this Monday because he's going to Mexico to celebrate his birthday. Because, listen, you're 40 now. Oh! Yeah. Guess what?
Breaking news. Do we have the stinger?
No. Okay, let's get some breaking news here, and then I definitely have great news for the viewers at home.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! Do you mind if I break this news right now?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's break some news.
Well, according to his agent, Mike McCartney, Kirk Cousins has agreed to a 4-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. He is no longer a member of the Minnesota Vikings.
So I was right. I said, buy the thing. Yes, the Falcons, which changes. When we go to NFL Draft Rapid Fire, we're going to talk about the Falcons now because that changes what they can do. Like, you've got Kirk Cousins for a little while here. You don't have to freak out. Like, I think this move by the Falcons, one, their offense is kind of built right now. They've got a good offensive line. They've got Bijan Robinson. They've got Drake London. They've got Kyle Pitts. They're probably going to draft a wide receiver. I think that's probably where they go in the first round now. You can kind of focus on a lot of the defense or maybe plugging some other holes. You've got an opportunity to score some points if you have the right quarterback. I believe he and Zach Robinson are familiar with each other a little bit. I don't know like where their paths have exactly crossed, but probably in Minnesota. And Zach Robinson comes from McVay. McVay was there in Washington. So it's all that. He knows all that. That's a huge move for the Falcons, man. That's a huge move.
Big time move. And now the Vikings are in big time trouble because they not only have to replace one quarterback, they got to figure out who their backup quarterback is going to be as well. I mean, the quarterback situation in Minnesota now is just an absolute unknown territory. And is it going to be draft? Are they going to try to find somebody to bridge via free agency, like a Sam Darnold maybe, and then draft a guy? I don't know. So now that process starts now. But I do think I'm actually a Kirk Cousins. I consider myself more of a Kirk Cousins defender. And in a way, I don't know how I got here as I say that. But I was on record saying that I believe now was the right time to move on from Kirk Cousins because it just didn't make sense to keep him around any longer, just given the way that this franchise is operated with him at the helm. We kind of know what the peak max plateau is with Kirk Cousins. And with a guy coming off an Achilles tear and is going to turn 36 next year, I just didn't see what the end game would be by re-signing Kirk Cousins and bringing him back to Minnesota for another 3 years. I just didn't see it.
Yeah. Garrett, I just emailed you something. We're going to save it for the third segment, though. So, but yes, I just sent you something.
You're the worst.
And guess what? I'm not the only one.
Oh, yeah, well, fair.
I did recruit a teammate in this, and you know exactly who it is.
Unbelievable.
No. And look, believe me, I'm sure she might have some of me as well, but this was it was inevitable, Pierre. You knew it was going to come up one time. You couldn't hide from it forever. You're not running for office. You're fine. You're not really you're fine. You're fine.
No, and people, let me tell everybody right now that are watching, you better hope I never run for office. Because if I win election anywhere, whether it be a mayor, whether it be school board, whether it be the president of the United States, I would rule like with an iron fist. If you think you've seen dictators before in your lifetime, do not let me get powered. I promise you that. I promise you.
No, it's not good for the world.
No, it's not. No, it is not.
No, I don't want you to have the codes. I really don't.
No, you don't. No. Iron fist. That's what I tell you.
Yeah. So, but rest of the NFL free agency news. Look, I do like the Falcons have made a move. The Vikings, this can, look, there's not a lot of free, they can go sign like Jameis Winston or someone like that to bridge them here. But they're also now, this kind of puts them at that 11th pick in an interesting spot. What do you do to go get your quarterback of the future? Do you wait until the second round and take a Nix or a Penix who might be available when you pick at 43? I think it's their other pick. Or do you go? So this really sets them up. And I always felt that from the moment he got hurt on, that Kirk Cousins was probably not coming back, because this does not appear to be a team. They've got a young coach who's good. Like, they really do. And Kevin O'Connell, they don't need to mess with that, but they maybe need to build. If you got a young coach and a young superstar wide receiver and young players now on the defensive side of the ball too, maybe you needed to have a little bit of a youth movement and not keep trying to run it back with Kirk Cousins. Let him find his spot somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about it as well. The other domino to this decision now is, how does this affect Justin Jefferson's decision to stay with the Minnesota Vikings? Mm-hmm. That's really the other part of this conversation now, because Jefferson was a huge advocate for Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's only played with one quarterback, and Jefferson's off to the best start, in a 4-year span than any wide receiver in the history of the NFL. So why wouldn't he want Kirk Cousins back? But at the same time, I'm wondering how this will affect Justin Jefferson. Everybody had Justin Fields in as an Atlanta Falcon in Penn. Now they're going to have to scratch that out. Where does Justin Fields go now as a result of this? And now if you're the Vikings and you're looking up ahead of you at the board, who do you have to vault to get to your guy? To be honest with you, you'd have to get to at least 3. Because once you get to, you're going to Arizona. The Giants, I would say, would be the only team at 6, because the Bears are going to pick again at 9. The Jets are at 10. Tennessee, if they're happy with Will Levis, which I would imagine they probably are for now. The Giants are the team you would probably have to get ahead of. But I would say, to get who, though? Because if you're vaulting the Giants to get to 5 or to get to 4 just to take J.J. McCarthy, I don't like that at all. At all. I don't think the Vikings need to move up. I don't think they have to do anything. I think they can sit at 11 and see how the board plays out. That's what I would do.
Yeah, but do you and look, they've not been prone to rash moves in this administration. No. So I wouldn't say that, but it is going to be interesting to see what they do, because if you do, have a quarterback you think can change things for you, and you have an opportunity to get him. And I think that the Patriots are sitting in a really good spot right now, although they've just traded away Mac Jones. That's another big move in this. So the Patriots don't necessarily have a starting quarterback for now. So what they do in the next couple days will show you where their intent is. They're probably going to sign a veteran. You would think they would sign a veteran, but who that veteran is probably only going to be a bridge guy. So, I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting, but If they sign a guy to a 1 or 2 year deal that's going to be their bridge starter, and then they're probably going to use a pick at 3, so then you're talking about you're not going to be able to get up over the Patriots unless they don't like one of those top 3 guys, right? So if the Patriots have said, like, as long as we can get Drake May or Caleb, we're doing it, but we don't like Jaden Daniels, and I'm just saying that hypothetically, then you've got, you've got the Vikings that have to, try to get up to 4 and hope that the Patriots just hate those other guys, which I would not think that they would, especially given where they're at. So
yeah, no doubt. I thought for a split second in my mind, I was like, I wonder if Minnesota might take a look at Baker Mayfield. Just, maybe a 2-year incentive laden deal. But I mean, the guaranteed money that Baker Mayfield got is probably around exactly where Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa was hoping to get Kirk Cousins. I mean, but Kirk Cousins was not going to take $30 million guaranteed. I mean, he was going to at least be looking for a $40 million deal. But the numbers that Baker Mayfield got in Tampa Bay, I think would have been numbers that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa would have absolutely agreed to if he were looking at Baker Mayfield to maybe be a 2-year starter here and bridge the gap, and if they couldn't bring Kirk Cousins back. But that didn't play out. And now the music's starting to run out here. We've got Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. Baker went back to Tampa. Kirk is in Atlanta. Now what happens with, the likes of, like you said, Jameis Winston? Where does Justin Fields go now at this point?
Sam Darnold is currently the favorite to sign in Minnesota.
That would make a lot of sense. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. But that also means that, he's probably, you're not drafting a quarterback in the first round, but you're probably drafting somebody in the second or, to do
Paul, I will say this. I don't care what round it is. I don't know what round it is. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what their plan of attack is in terms of getting a quarterback. But if this team doesn't come away with a quarterback within their first 2 picks in the draft, I think it's been already an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Already.
So Kirk Cousins gone. Here's some other things. Rapid fire. We'll go through these. Garrett, get on the mic. All right. Jack can't hear me now, I don't think. Jack, can you hear me? Jack, do nothing if you can hear me.
Nothing.
Okay. There's Jack's a Packers fan. Josh Jacobs is a Packer now. He has left the Raiders. He's on his way to the Green Bay Packers on a multi-year deal, which is, I don't know, just agreed to terms. Haven't seen that one yet. So Josh Jacobs to the Packers. They already have Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon is gone. Running back was going to be kind of an area of need for him. Aaron Jones has 1 year left. I would think maybe they'd let him ride that out, and now they've got it set up for the future. But I love Josh Jacobs to the Packers. If I'm Jordan Love, I'm liking this move in the short term for sure.
No doubt. Love that move.
Yeah. Garrett?
No, that's perfect for them. I think he'd be a great fit. I'm surprised it took him this long to land somewhere that would be a perfect fit for him.
Yeah. Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle to the Raiders. Another one I like. And Pierre, go ahead. And
I'm sorry. Saquon Barkley just tweeted out 2 eagle emojis.
Oh, crap. Ooh. That's a great signing for them. It really is. The Eagles, when the Eagles do things, it's usually good. The rest of the NFC East now has to hope that he stays injury prone because now he's playing behind an offensive line that's good. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's all he tweeted was just 2 eagle emojis. Take that for what you will, but it looks like I would assume is on. Yeah, there it is. He's going to Philadelphia. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great one right there. So. Yeah, but okay, you're a Dolphins fan. Christian Wilkins gone, and that becomes maybe their biggest area of need now. And you said that last week. 4-year deal with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Listen, he got nearly $85 million in guaranteed money. I love Christian Wilkins. I don't think even I would have paid nearly $85 million in guaranteed money to keep him. But I said it last week, I'll say it again. The fact that you can look at your roster and think you need to keep Tua Tagovailoa above keeping Christian Wilkins absolutely drives me insane. It's the way that team operates. I mean, they were going to have to pay. The Pied Piper was coming for that team anyway, given the cap situation. They're in cap hell. And now this team is probably going to be a 9-win team at best next season because they can't afford to keep anybody and they're going to have to restructure some deals. But Christian Wilkins getting paid, good for him, man. I'm sad to see him go, but he's a beast. He's a great teammate from all accounts, and all the best of luck to him in Las Vegas.
Yeah. I think, well, look, Antonio Pierce has got himself a dog on defense, which I think can help.
Yeah.
And then, look, he already has Max Crosby there. Like, they've got some dudes over there. It's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do with the Raiders here in the coming year. All right, let's see. Some minor move. The running back market's moved because Tony Pollard signed a 3-year deal with the Titans. He is from Memphis. His dad owns a barbecue place in Memphis. Now he's a Titan. He'll be there with Ty J. Spears, replacing Derrick Henry, who I'm sure is looking at this going, all right, well, where do I go? And I would say Ravens for Derrick Henry is probably coming soon now that Saquon Barkley's off the board. Also, the Texans could be an interesting spot for a couple of these guys to land because they need to upgrade at that position for sure. But Tony Pollard gone. DeAndre Swift, another running back, signing with the Bears. So the Eagles have upgraded from Swift to Barkley for sure, and Barkley's a running back who I think fits in that offense really well in Philly. And if he can stay healthy behind a real offensive line, he's only 27 years old, they could get a couple of really good years out of Saquon Barkley.
Looks like, absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Looks like Antonio Gibson is going to be a New England Patriot as well, another running back that is off the market. So, yeah, I think when I saw that DeAndre Swift went from Philadelphia to Chicago, it raised my eyebrows just a little bit because, DeAndre Swift had a terrific season in Philly last year. But the way they operate their running back situation feels a little Patriot-like. It could be a different guy every single week. So I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to be more of a dominant ball carrier. He's going to get that chance in Chicago. I think he really will.
Yeah, Roshan Johnson from Texas had a really solid rookie year there last year. That's a nice pairing there. Bryce Huff, this is a big one. Not a huge name. A lot of people don't know Bryce Huff from the Jets. You're not, but one of the best pass rushers in the league last year. Also going to the Eagles. And I watched it, and here's the thing. I am not a free agency. Like, I'm interested in all this stuff. Good teams supplement themselves, and then a lot of guys are just kind of there. The Eagles made the playoffs last year, but they ended the year terribly. And they've done it like Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox retired, which means they're getting younger. But they already drafted those guys' replacements a year ago, knowing that it was short time. And now here they're going out getting a great defensive end, or like a really good one right now in Bryce Huff, and one of the best running backs and offensive weapons on the market to supplement a team that really didn't need them. Like, honestly, they could have gotten by without doing this. And that's why I'm curious to see where the Eagles, who were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, may wind up this year in that NFC East, with the Giants kind of in limbo, the Commanders very much in limbo because they've got a new owner, a new coach, and all the things that are going on there. They don't know who the quarterback's going to be, drafting second. And then the Cowboys in a situation that is not ideal for, even though Jerry says, we're going to go all in, like, okay, like, you don't have a lot of cap room. We don't, none of us believe that. I know you're, I know you got to go play the hits, Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, yeah, I like what Philadelphia has done so far for sure. I think Philadelphia is a team that can get right back there sooner than later, no doubt. It's the 49ers had to release Eric Armstead. They're going to have holes to fill in their defensive line as well. The NFC, I feel like, is a real man. That race for the NFC, I feel like, is really wide open in the NFC. A lot of teams can emerge from that conference.
Yeah. $100 million guaranteed, by the way, for Kirk Cousins, who's coming off a torn Achilles. So,
boy,
being a quarterback is a pretty cool thing.
No doubt. Nobody makes money the way Kirk Cousins makes money in this league. It's amazing.
And here's the thing: he doesn't spend any money.
Yeah,
he still drives that minivan, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's. It's funny. I'm sad to see him go because I feel like he's underappreciated in a sense. Like, good dude. Great in the community. You say what you will about whether he's conducive to winning or not, but I'm a little sad to see Kirk walk out the door. I am.
Yeah. I would be too, covering him. Also, Russell Wilson signed with the Steelers on a 1-year deal, which will be a song for them because essentially they don't have to offset any, the Broncos are not offset really any money on this deal. And that's going to be really interesting for Kenny Pickett. As he goes in, I would not bet on Kenny Pickett being the starter. We'll see if Russell Wilson has anything left in the tank, and Arthur Smith. I think that's probably going to be fine for Arthur Smith. He can probably deal with that. The new play caller there. So these things happen. Okay, here's another thing that's stupid. and we're just going to keep it here. We're not going to, we'll just keep it here. They call this first 2 days of the week the legal tampering period.
Yeah, I know.
Why don't they just call it free agency?
Well, this whole it's the same kind of deal. We have the same discussion, in the NBA circles on draft day, when you trade the rights, but you can't exactly comment on a player that you acquire because of it's not processed until such and such date, so they have to pretend like they don't know what you're talking about. Can we just do away with this, please? I mean, stop. Why do we have to make life so complicated? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. Look. There are things, the NFL has almost everything right when it comes to this and like terminology, but the legal tampering period is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's just free agency. It's just official on Wednesday. That's all it is. Free agency starts, it becomes official on Wednesday.
The only time that I can really remember a deal going awry, I'm sure there's been more than one, but probably I remember this more because it happened here, was I believe during the legal tampering period when Anthony Barr signed with the New York Jets. And then a day or two later had a complete change of heart and got out of his deal with the Jets to come back to the Vikings. Yeah. I guess, if you want to call it the Anthony Barr rule or you haven't changed your heart in 2 days, go ahead. But I know nothing is confirmed until it's confirmed. But why do we do this? Why do we do this to each other, Paul?
I don't know.
Why?
Yeah. If I could change that and the NBA draft making no sense, it makes no sense. Like, this move's not official till 2 weeks from now. Well, just change the calendar.
I know. That's always my favorite part of the draft too, is the email that you get 10 days later from the team saying, "Oh, so the Timberwolves have acquired such and such." I was like, "Yeah, I knew that on draft night."
Yeah. Just tell me what it is. I think that there's got to be some Charlotte Hornet fans that every year at the NBA draft cry because there's a picture of Kobe Bryant holding up a Hornets jersey, knowing that it was just like, all right, this is honestly you could have had you could have given him a Batman costume, like the same value, maybe even more. He'd use that for Halloween. Right. That's what I'm wearing Halloween this year is this cool little Batman costume. I'm playing for the Lakers, but I'll be Batman at Halloween.
Right, exactly. 100%.
That's
100%.
It's ridiculous. So, but yeah, there's let's see. I'm trying to keep up with all these deals that are like once they all start happening, it's wild.
Oh, absolutely. Let me ask you this. I mean, now the market for Justin Fields now, suddenly the Bears are not, it feels like they're not dealing from a position of strength now all of a sudden.
Well, the Raiders are still out there. Obviously, the Vikings are still out there, but I don't think the Bears want to trade him to the Vikings and play him twice a year, especially they don't want to be like, hey, we kind of liked what you were doing, and if we had just the 9th pick, we'd stay with you as our quarterback, but since we have the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams, we're going to send you on. We're going to play you twice a year with the best wide receiver in football. How about that? This is your parting gift is we'll get to play you, and then you get to also have Justin Jefferson. So I don't think that they're going to go Justin to Justin on that. I also think that there could be like a dark horse out there like Seattle or, just someone you're not thinking of.
Denver still needs a quarterback.
Like Seattle, Denver. Denver just doesn't have a lot of – I mean, they wanted Russ gone. They took a $90 million cap hit. So –
Well, more bad news for the Miami Dolphins, Paul. Meanwhile, Andrew Van Ginkel has signed a 2-year deal to come to the Minnesota Vikings, ironically enough, according to Adam Schefter. So,
Andrew Van Ginkel obviously doesn't like nice weather. No.
He probably
likes money.
No, he does not.
You can look 6 months in Minneapolis you can go back to Miami and spend the warm times there. So it's fine. Like, you can, with the money he's getting, I'm sure he can afford it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And it's all just slipping away. And you're all just letting it happen. Like, it just... What a disaster. What a disastrous day for that stupid football team in Miami.
All right, listen. Pierre, I'm here to lift your spirits. So since,
Good.
I'd like you to remember a simpler time. When you were, 9, 10 years younger than you are right now. I don't know if you can you see it? You can't see it, can you? Can you see it?
I don't think he can see it.
He can't see it.
But everybody else can see it.
I can't. No, I don't think I can see it.
Okay.
Let me see if I can. No, I can't see it.
Okay.
No.
Well, everyone else on YouTube is seeing this picture of you and a young, bright-eyed Tim O'Donnell, who's out of the business now. He is probably making a lot more money. He's a father.
No doubt.
I think maybe of 2 now. I think he's got 2 kids, right?
Of 2 now. Yeah.
Father of 2. Who's also going to get this clip sent to him today, and I haven't talked to him in years. But he's going to get this clip sent to him. This is you guys sharing pretzels or popcorn. And this was screen grabbed on television by our good friend Nikki Lorenzo.
Yeah.
And Nikki screen grabbed this because I was there. I was sitting, here's the thing. I was sitting on the other side of you in this picture. And I didn't realize that this was going on. But Garrett, would you say this looks like 2 friends sharing pretzels, or would you say this looks like something else?
I mean, just the looks on their faces, it looks like a little something else, especially with the fingers going. I don't know, man. This looks a little sketchy.
It just looks a little weird. Emery, have you seen the picture here? Yeah. This is just guys being dudes. Just guys being dudes.
I don't know how this was screen grabbed. I don't know how in the world that, because, the television cameras are everywhere, but just for that moment at that time. Yeah. It just, I don't know how that happened. How did that happen?
No. I don't know either. It was, but I was sitting there and Nikki just sent me the picture. 5 minutes later, the internet, especially back then, wasn't very good in the Sprint Center, which is why it's now the T-Mobile Center.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yes,
the internet was terrible in a place that's named for a wireless company. But I get back into the press room after that, and my phone just goes it had that little failed to send, or you could tell something was trying to come through. As soon as I walked back, it went whoop, and she's like, "Hey, what was going on here?" And I was like, "Well, I was sitting right next to him, and I didn't see that." So then I was like,
"Yeah." Smokey had a lot of fun with that picture too, that day or the next day as well. I remember him. I think he put it up on Twitter, and I said, "What? He had pretzels?" And Smokey's like, "I bet he did." I'm like, so. Yeah, that's a picture that will live in infamy.
Yeah. So there you go. I just needed to show that. Now every year around March Madness, I'm going to bring this picture out so the world can see it.
Thank God.
2 guys being buddies, sharing some pretzels in the most tender and loving fashion you could imagine.
It's madness, all right. Yeah. I'll tell you that. It looks pure madness.
I will tell you this. It looks way worse for Tim.
Oh, yeah, I would tend to agree, and I miss my old days with Tim. He and I, when we would go to the Big 12 tournament, he was a lot of fun to hang out with as well. But this picture is going to haunt us till our dying days. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, Pierre, enjoy the rest of your move.
Thanks.
And look, here's the thing: the movers don't help you with unpacking so much. I think you can pay them to do some of that stuff, like an extra charge, but really all they're going to do is take your plates out of the box and put them away for you. And that's if you've done it right, then the kitchen is not that hard to do. The kitchen's the easiest part. The bedrooms, that's the hard part. So
yeah. And I want everybody, watching to know, and you as well, Paul, and the team back home, that the amount of physical and emotional pain that I'm going through moving this process is nothing compared to the pain of the Miami Dolphins that they give me on a yearly basis, especially around this time. So, I mean, if I can get through that, I feel like I can get through anything in life.
Yes. So well, good luck. And, just go, what I'm going to do for you. I'm giving you this piece of advice. Go through stuff that she's not going to like and that you can live with moving to a storage unit before she gets home, and just put it in another spot.
She's flying to San Diego. She's going to be overnight in San Diego tonight. So I've got the next 24 hours, I'd say, to kind of tidy this place up for when she gets back.
So that'll go a long way, as much as you can, even though as clean as it's going to be, she's going to clean it again when she comes home.
Hey, that's her problem, not mine. I did my due diligence.
No, I just know that when Amanda's out of town and I keep the house as clean as I possibly can, even at its peak. And last time she was out of town, I had the cleaning ladies come the day before she got back. She's still ran the vacuum and ran a couple wet cloths over things, just to make sure that the 17 hours that I didn't even spend them downstairs. I just spent the whole time up in Paul's little area. Even then, like some of my grime could have like gotten caught in the air conditioner and come down. I don't know. But Pierre, have a good rest of the move, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. That's Pierre Noujaim. This is the Triple Option. Today, we've got we have Ross Dellinger today, right?
We've got Ross Dellinger and Adam Rittenberg.
Ross Dellinger, Adam Rittenberg. And tomorrow, the madman himself, Tom Herman, from FAU, joins the show. Excited to talk to Coach Herman. That's going to be great. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly.